This Italian lawyer is fighting to stop one of the most heinous modern crimes. Elvira D'Amato heads the first Italian police unit specializing in catching online pedophiles.
We monitor the web 24 hours a day, concentrating on the pedophile sites. And we are developing a blacklist which we will give to internet providers.
Since they began working 4 months ago, these cyber police have saved 200 children from ages 8 to 16.
We
pretend to be potential victims. We know the language of a pedophile, and we play this psychological game. We find that when the offender falls for it, that's how we can catch them.
According to this Italian police unit, there are some 200,000 pedophile sites on the web. Once a criminal website has been verified, the police can order it offline in about 6 hours.
Pedophiles are extremely good at passing for children or teenagers. So if the predator asks how you are addressed, what's your password or address, where you study, or asks for a photo, be careful. You could be dealing with a pedophile.
With their hard work and the help of many, the Italian police have busted 156 websites.
Our procedure is effective. Italian law allows us to work undercover on the web, and that has proved very useful.
The center works in collaboration with police from 25 countries in the European Union. If you know of a questionable website, don't hesitate to contact the center. In the process, you could save an innocent child.
In what used to be an old church, tucked away just behind the Vatican walls, the Holy See guards a treasure, the Pope's film library.
The Pope came to the Vatican cinema this past October for the screening of a movie about John Paul I. The Pope likes the movies. The cinema is an important tool to promote Christian values.
The Vatican Film Library, founded in 1959, contains more than 7,000 movies, but not only religious films.
We try to pay special attention to mainstream films. Some of the copies we have here are gifts from directors such as Spielberg. Others have given us the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Chronicles of Narnia.
The new director of the Vatican Film Library has her favorites for this year's Oscars.
This year, I hope The Pursuit of Happiness wins.
It's a little-known fact that the Vatican's film collection includes a few cinematic gems.
We have the first Italian movie about St. Francis of Assisi, made in 1911, and another one about St. Joan of Arc from the same period. We were surprised since we didn't know that we had these gems in our collection.
The world may also be surprised to hear the Vatican has a film library which organizes courses for young people interested in the Pope's movie collection.
Ennio Morricone is known all over the world for composing music for more than 500 movies. And in 2006, he received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Oscars. The soundtrack for The Mission is perhaps his best-known work. For Morricone, it wasn't an easy task, but the music, used to evangelize the Indians of South America in the film, was fundamental.
The Jesuits brought the culture of music from the Renaissance to the heart of South America.
Morricone used 3 elements: the oboe, a palestrina choir, and an ethnic chorus.
The ethnic choir uses Latin words. It's a choir of protest, a booming musical choir.
Even as Morricone only uses 3 different musical motifs, his composition isn't as simple as it seems.
These 3 elements are usable only with an instrumental oboe, only with a palestrina choir and an ethnic choir. But you can combine the first and the second element, and the first and the third, or the second and the third all together. At the end of the film, you don't realize it, but you're hearing 2 choirs and an instrumental piece together.
This music ends the movie, ideal notes for a dramatic moment. And Morricone is proud of this work for many reasons.
I feel that I've made a technical achievement, but also a moral and a spiritual one. These three components are the spiritual union of the Jesuits, who died with the Indians, and also a representation of the Holy Trinity, what the Jesuits were helping them understand.
After 52 years of composing soundtracks, Ennio Morricone has proved to be one of the great composers in the history of film, and he has accomplished his own mission.
When was the oldest film in the Vatican Film Library made? 1896, 1902, 1911. You're watching Rome Reports. When was the oldest film in the Vatican Film Library made? 1896, 1902, 1911. The correct response is 1896. It was a film of Leo XIII in the Vatican Gardens.
I would assume that Valentine's Day is named after St. Valentine.
It's Greek, ain't it?
He chased people around with arrows so that they would fall in love, and he also created flowers.
St. Valentine, I believe, was a bishop in Turkey.
He's a martyr, and he's from this city in Umbria. I can't recall the name right now.
Behind this door lies the story of one of history's most famous saints, at least by name, St. Valentine. These catacombs, open once a year on St. Valentine's Day, are named after the Roman priest and martyr and date back to the 3rd century. But historians say the person the modern world now considers the patron of lovers is actually two saints rolled into one.
There
are two Valentines, two saints who were martyrs. They probably died during the persecutions of the 3rd century, either in 250 during Diocletian's persecution or Valerian's persecution in 256, before the great persecutions of the 4th century.
According to Professor Visconti, who's in charge of Rome's catacombs, these elaborate feet likely belonged to the martyrs, possibly including St. Valentine.
There were 2 floors of catacombs and 1 basilica. The martyr was buried in the basilica. Different historical sources remember the saint. There's a famous passage from the 5th to the 6th century about a martyr named Valentine, who was buried on Via Flaminia, an important road full of necropoli.
The other St. Valentine was Bishop of Terni, a town in central Italy, in the 3rd century. He was a martyr and a saint, but his fame as the patron of lovers is something new.
Devotion to St. Valentine of Terni as the patron of lovers is a tradition that came about later, in the last 50 or 60 years.
Times have changed. Instead of paying homage to the 2 martyrs on Valentine's Day, Roman lovers now flock to the Milvian Bridge. There, couples throw keys to locks into the Tiber as a symbol of their union. The modern world may have invented its own idea of St. Valentine and made a special day out of it, but in the end, the holiday is still based on the philosophy which these saints lived, giving up one's life for love. Benedict XVI recently had some special little visitors. 13 children from Iraq, Benin, and El Salvador made a quick trip to Rome to meet the Pope with Messengers of Peace, an association based in Spain.
We are launching an SOS to the world. It's unthinkable that there are still wars going on and that people are dying of hunger. And hundreds and thousands of children are the victims. But we believe peace is possible and that a better distribution of food and resources can be achieved. So we're very hopeful.
The group included 6 children hurt by the conflict in northern Iraq.
4 of them are Kurdish, 2 are Christian, 2 are Muslim. We just came to meet the Pope and to talk about Kurdistan. Kurdistan is the north part of Iraq, and also to ask for help because the children, we have a lot of sick children, they need to be treated.
Messengers of Peace began helping children in 1962 in Spain. They currently run 296 homes for children, victims of war, violence, and domestic strife all over the world.
We are working in Lebanon, in Jordania, in Iraq, and also in Iran.
Messengers of Peace do a lot of work in Benin. The center is our main activity. It's a home for the protection of children, protection in every sense of the word.
For the kids, coming to Rome is a dream come true. Captivated by St. Peter's, they were speechless. But in the end, one word came to mind.
Exciting.
In Rome's historic city center, tourists and Romans alike have the unique opportunity to discover one of the great masters of Baroque painting.
Annibale Carracci was one of three artists who transformed art at the end of the 16th century. All three of them were related. There was Annibale, his cousin Ludovico, and his brother Agostino, who were all born in Bologna.
Born in the second half of the 16th century, Carracci formed part of the famous Bolognese school. His work was a fusion of two different streams in art at the time, the Venetian and Florentine styles.
When Annibale paints a holy story, he doesn't paint some abstract saint that you can't relate to. When he shows St. Francis meditating on the cross, St. Francis seems close enough to touch and an example that we could maybe follow, we could try to follow. And so really his art has a way of bringing these stories and drawing us into the stories.
And it just brings the story to life. It makes you feel as if you're right there, and like the crucifix is actually coming out of the painting and you feel as if you're looking over and adoring the cross with him.
His talent drew the attention of the most prominent members of Italian society at the time.
Annibale caught the eye of the absolute best art patrons in the world. When we talk about who pays for Annibale's painting, we're talking about the Farnese family, who are known for having collected the greatest art. Scipione Borghese admired Annibale Carracci. Men like Aldobrandini, the nephew of Pope Clement VIII.
And Carracci is still turning heads 4 centuries later.
It's not every day that you can have someone from the past who's created something for all to see, so that you can really truly feel the emotions of the characters and of the artist as well.
A chance for art lovers to see the most important yet virtually unknown artist of the post-Counter-Reformation.
In a publication that is reported to be full of revelations, Cardinal Stanislav Dziwisz, Pope John Paul II's former secretary, has written his memoirs. The book is called My Life with Carol.
In my opinion, and I don't know if he'll admit it one day, he wanted to write this book to continue in some way a spiritual dialogue with John Paul II.
Among his memories are discreet ski excursions with John Paul II, and hints that the KGB gave Ali Agca the order to kill the Pope, as well as how John Paul II reacted to September the 11th. Episodes that till now were only known to a few privileged Vatican officials in charge of his canonization process, a process which is soon to conclude its local phase.
Cardinal Ruini, in charge of causes for the Diocese of Rome, told me some time ago that he believes that this phase will be complete in April.
According to church officials, the first phase of Pope John Paul II's beatification, known as his cause, may be declared finished as soon as April 2nd, the second anniversary of John Paul's death. Every beatification has 2 major phases. The first at the local level can take years to complete. But because of John Paul's evident sanctity, this process has almost ended.
The people working on the cause and the postulator of the commission have put together all the documents necessary for the study of the new blessed, his life, his holiness, heroic virtues.
Now all the data necessary for John Paul II's cause, including at least one reported miracle, will be sent to Rome for closer scrutiny.
In this phase, all the information assembled in the diocesan phase is studied. Elements of the dicastery called upon include a Congress of Theology, a Historical Commission, and a South America Commission where there is a possible miracle.
That process will take time, but if the past few months are anything to go by, it won't be as long as some people might think.
Joaquin Navarro-Valls, former Vatican spokesperson, is going back to his roots in science. After 22 years as the pressman of both John Paul II and Benedict XVI, the Spaniard has been appointed president of an international committee at the biomedical university run by Opus Dei in Rome. Navarro-Valls studied psychiatry in Granada and then journalism at the University of Navarre in Spain. Before signing on at the Vatican, he was the Rome correspondent for the conservative Spanish daily ABC. In June, Navarro-Valls left the Vatican. In the past 6 months, he has written for the left-leaning Italian paper La Repubblica and has appeared on Italian television. In his new job, he will head a team monitoring the scientific research of the university and hospital. In recent interviews, he has called the new position a challenge.
At first glance, St. Peter's Basilica and the Vatican museums seem to be two of the safest places in the world.
I don't think anyone here in the Vatican dares to steal anything.
I'm not aware of any crime in the Vatican.
And yet in 2006, nearly 500 criminal cases were reported on Vatican territory, according to information given at a ceremony that kicked off the Vatican's judicial year. An incredible number, especially as the Vatican is home to only 492 people. But not one of the cases involves them. For the most part, the victims are tourists who get robbed in the Vatican museums and in the Basilica, visited by some 18 million people a year. Watch out though, tourists themselves can also be criminals.
In my opinion, it's easy to vandalize pieces of art or other stuff when a policeman is distracted. For example, some people try to break off a piece of mosaic, a candlestick, a piece of a bench. They try to take anything small that can be a souvenir of their trip.
Countless police officers and security guards monitor tourists and pilgrims, but it's difficult to keep an eye on everyone. But visitors can breathe a sigh of relief at this time of year, since the Vatican is a much safer place. Why? It seems the cold weather forces thieves to stay at home.
In our next show, we'll tell you who recently gave the Pope an ancient papyrus, one of the oldest Gospels of St. Luke and St. John. All of this and much more here on Rome Reports. You may not believe it, but besides saving the world, superheroes also practice religion. According to the website Comic Book Religion, heroes such as Superman and Spider-Man are Protestants, for instance, while Daredevil and the Hulk are Catholics. Evidence, the site says, is found in details. The Hulk carries a rosary, Daredevil goes to confession, the cross on Batman's tomb, meanwhile, is Episcopalian. But that's not all. Some experts identify some superhero qualities with the Messiah.
If you look closer, one can see religious and even messianic qualities in superheroes. They have a mission, a redemptive mission. They give themselves for others, even to the point of laying down their lives.
Superheroes don't have personal interests, but live for others. And their human identity hides a hidden, superior identity.
Daredevil is set in a church context. He makes many references to the Catholic Church and relies on God for the strength to continue on his mission. You could say Daredevil is something like a saint.
Whether Spider-Man is Protestant, Batman is Episcopalian, The Thing Jewish, or Daredevil Catholic, readers admire superheroes. Saints or not, at least they're do-gooders.
The basic trait of superheroes is that they're good, upright people.
Every year, 700 new comics are printed, and each year kids get hooked. They may not all be religious, but superheroes can help youngsters understand that in life, you have to choose between good and evil.